Hello, welcome to this Python tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn about string data type. The string data type, how you can use it inside Python, what are some default important methods, and how we can print the output of a string in a formatted way. So we'll see all of them in this. String is an important aspect of any programming language which holds the characters. It can be a number, letter, or special character. So how do you handle the string is one of the interesting and fun part of a programming language. So let's understand how string is considered within Python context. So I have Python runtime installed. I'm using Visual Studio Code, and here I'm going to declare a variable string. Let's say hello. Now that's fine. And then I give a space along with that variable. Now if I have another variable and I say world, okay, then what happens if I try to print this both the values by using this addition, it's going to go ahead and add these two one after another. That's what the append is happening here. So if I want to run this and I say day 2, and then you can see that hello world is coming. That's quite natural. So you have got this single word string, both of them coming from two different things, and then you are adding them one after another. If you have special character inside a string, for example, if you have I am, and this will not be recognized as a string. So in that case, instead of single quote, you can use double quote to consider the whole thing as a single string. And then you can put the single character, that is single quote, inside a string, and it will be preserved. So you can see that hello world is getting preserved. Okay, now if you come back and then see a couple of different ways. Now you have this hello world, and if you say a, now if I want to do another, try to do another mathematical calculation, that is multiply this to 10. Now what happens in the in case of string, it's gonna go ahead and print a 10 times. However, all, if I do that, you can see that all is getting printed 10 times. If I say hello, hello will be printing 10 times. So like that, you can have these values coming one after another, right? So that's what it shows. So if you just want to beautify that, give a little space, and then you print it out, and you're going to see that 10 times hello is coming. This is another nice way of doing that. Also, if you want to see how many characters are there in this whole setup thing, you can use a simple function called len of a. If you use len of a, and then if you just run this, you will find that 11. It indicates the number of characters. Now, if you remove this space, you will find that it's going to tell you the number of letters 10. That means when it counts, it also counts the space. So you need to remember that when you do a len of a sentence which also has space, it will also give you the space value as part of the count. Otherwise, you need to count each of the words separately. Now we'll see a couple of other thing like indexes. So string is set up characters. Now there is a placeholder for each of these, and the placeholder starts with 0. So you start with 0, that's the first letter, and then you move on. So if you, let's say, you want to read what is the value of the first character, you can use this indexes, that is square bracket and the position, and it will give you the specific letter, that is H. If you know that it contains 11 letters, so if you use 11, then it's gonna give you an error because it starts with 0. So 0 to 11 is 12 characters. So you always have to use the len minus 1, that is total number of characters minus 1, that is 10. Okay, so the 10 will give you the last letter, that is D. So you'll find the D as an output. Now you can use any placeholder between 0 to 10, and then that will give you the specific value. Now you can see it's W. If I type 5, you won't find anything because it will then print the space. Space is the fifth character in this. So you can actually get the character from a separate location. Now, if you happen to, let's say, read certain characters, we have a syntax like this. So if you say that I want to read 3 characters, and then if you run this code, you can see it's HEL. Okay, so it's starting from 3. If you place this 3 before, then it will give you the last 3, remove the first 3 character and give you the remaining um, of the set, whole set. Now, if you don't want remaining of the whole set, but you say that I want a remaining of 3, let's say, and if you run this, you don't get anything, right? So you basically don't see any of the value. So if you say 2, you don't also see that any of the values. So you can actually change and alter and play around with it. And this is what in a context of um, programming language, especially in the Python programming language, we call a slicing, right? So you can slice a specific set of characters into what you are looking for, right? So you basically want to read all of them. You can just say this one, and it'll give you everything you have in that variable. That is hello world. You can see that it is showing you over here. Now, if you want to just read the last letter of this whole thing, you say -1. If you do that, then what it's gonna show you is the D, hello world. That D will be shown up over here. You want to grab everything but the last one, okay? So you can always use that semicolon. So this will give you everything but the last one. So you say hello world will come. So that's gonna show you the thing, right? And then you can also use the step. Step is another way of, let's say, thinking around how can you move between words. So if I use 2, so it basically grabs everything but go in step size of 2. So let's see what is the output over here. Let's just clear it up and then run it. And you can see that it prints H, then leaves E, and then goes into L, and then leaves L, and then goes into O, so on and so forth. So it always jumps into. So first H, and then L, then O, then so it's basically jumping, right? And you can also use this to print string backward. If you, let's say, you want to print this whole string backward, you can do that if you say so. And then it will start like this. So sort of like a mirror writing, right? You can see that it starts from backward. So pretty quickly you can print these things out, right? So you can actually try to, let's say, replace a special position with another character, but this will not work. Okay, why it will not work? Because this is a string data type, it's not an array. So in case of an array, you can do replace a specific position thing, but for string, that is not um, available. Now let's use some of the other methods within string. For example, the upper. So if you say a dot upper and you just print them out, what happens is that it's gonna go ahead and print everything in capital letter. You can similarly use another function called lower. Now in Python, you call this function with parenthesis, open and close, and you get this. If you have and there is another important method called split. That's going to go ahead and by default split this whole set of characters into two words. This split works with a blank space. So wherever it finds a blank space, it'll go ahead and split that out. Now, if I gonna go ahead and print that, you will find it's a set of two words, and two words are separated by space. I am very well. Okay. If I say so and put a dot, looks good. And then if I go ahead and do that, you see that it's going to split that whole sentence into multiple words. So if you have to do a count of the word, you can always do that count of the word. It will tell you the count of the split, which means that total number of words. Okay, so you can use this later point in time or len, something like that. So you basically can um, split with multiple different options. Now let's see how well we can print that out. Now we have been printing this string very well, right? Now let's say we use some sort of name, and then I pass on the name, and then I say profession, I say programmer, and then I say interest, open source. Okay, so it just puts few things. Now, if you want to, let's say, print all of them one by one, that's very well. It's going to go ahead and print one by one, but it's not going to look great because they will be clubbed together. Okay, so it's not a readable output, I mean to say. So if you run this, you see one by one. Now I can make it readable by pointing some level. Then person, and then I put a space and put this and then add the name. So you will find a level before the name called the person. But again, I have to do it for everything. So to do this, it becomes a bit more tedious, right? If you add one by one. Instead of this, if you, let's say, try to format it, you can always format it by, let's say, I create a different variable, formatted text. Okay, this is a new variable I'm going to declare, and the formatting looks like this. The person, and then I put the name of the person, but I leave it here, is a professional developer and interested in something like that. I can remove the comma from here. So that becomes a sort of like a sentence, but you see here, I am placing the placeholder. Now what I can do, I can use this format of function and pass them in sequence. So whatever sequence I want them to come in, so the person, the name will come first, and the profession will come second, and the last will be interest. Okay, so if I do that and then print it out, so if I print formatted text, and if I just leave it like that, what happens? It's gonna go ahead and print both the lines. Now I am gonna hide this and execute only the line which is interesting. Now you can see that it's now printing well formatted text, but that is not like a cluttered one, right? Easily readable. So readability is one important aspect of anything you work on programming language. You need to make sure that your work is readable, understandable, easily kind of um, easy to interpret for another person. And that's what we use all those programming construct to really help build a better readable thing. So format is one such way when you use this complex string um, stitching, and then you want to place specific things in a specific place with a lot of back and forth here and there. You can use this formatting option. So hope this was interesting and useful, and I will come back with my new topic. Thank you very much.